Okay, here we are. Welcome to the $1 million window cleaning, pressure washing group live stream. And so glad to have everybody on here today. So, we're going to be talking about how to build a robust marketing arsenal to increase leads. And you can kind of see behind me here everything that we do in my company and in Window Washing Wealth. There are rules, right? And one of those rules is rule number one, don't be number two. So this rule also applies to marketing. So what I want to do is I want to take the next 15, 20 minutes or so and talk about what we do at my company and clients that we serve on how to build a marketing arsenal and what it means. And inside this marketing arsenal are what we call lead generation levers. And each of these levers are designed to generate leads. So in my company, Squeegee Pros, we average between 500 and 700 leads per month. And by the way, everything I'm going to be talking about here today is contained inside the Window Washing Wealth coaching program, where we go deep into every single one of these bullet points that I'm going to be talking about and presenting to you today. So, when we talk about marketing, marketing is a science. It's kind of like if you look at real estate, it's location, location, location. When you look at marketing, it's testing and testing and testing. And I'm going to give you the foundation to start supporting your marketing. And there's three bullet points that I'm going to cover here today on this live stream. One is the marketing arsenal. Two is the marketing dial. And three is measurement, like measuring the analytics. See, most when they get into this business and even after they're in the business, they just try stuff, right? They'll get the Val pack, right? And they'll just do 5 zones and they'll just, pop a bunch of these Val pack coupons out there and they just see what happens. They just try stuff. And they'll say, well, that didn't work very well. Then they go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right? Maybe they get a little bit of activity, maybe they don't, but they're not really understanding the science behind what makes marketing work. So, when I say people just try stuff, what needs to happen, what you need to do is start identifying these different things that you're doing to generate leads. Are they losers? Do they break even? And break even's okay, by the way, right? We're in the business of consumption. What gets cleaned gets dirty again. So if you're residential, you're commercial, your storefronts, break even is okay in the world of marketing because in our business, being consumption based, we're going to serve that customer if it's residential 5, 10, 20, 40 times. So the customer lifetime value does kick in to where that break even does become a return on investment. Does that make sense? You follow me with that? So you're going to have losers, you're going to have the break evens, you're going to have winners, and you might even have a couple of grand slam marketing mediums that just deliver a plethora of leads to your company. So the mission here is to get lead flow, to get a consistency to your lead flow, and then increase that consistency of lead flow, especially during the summer lull, this time of the year, January, February, those kinds of things. So how do we do this? So we build. So this is number one of the three. First, we build a marketing arsenal, lead generating levers, I call them, or marketing mediums. So in my company, we have 18 of them, maybe 19. We might be at 20 now, all condition specific to generating leads into our industry for our companies, window cleaners and pressure washers. And this is how we generate so many leads. We have a number of lead generating levers that we just keep on pushing. But you have to understand, and this is where some of the science is with this, marketing is a long play. It is, there's a science behind the backdrop of this. When we look at marketing, there's two prongs to this. One is external marketing, right? That's going to be like Google, for example. When you start to do a deep dive into Google, there's what they call the Google 5-pack. I can tell you at my company, it's one of our winners in our marketing campaigns that complete this lead generating lever program. Google is one of them out of the 18 to 20 that we use to generate leads. But the 5-pack is LSA. Everybody should be doing it. There's pay-per-click or AdWords, the sponsored ads. That's 2. There's the map pack, there's the business listings, and then there's the SEO. So think about this. Just this one marketing medium. It's Google today is the yellow pages of yesterday. So the companies that did yellow pages right took calculated risk, because you normally had to sign up for a year contract, right, to get the yellow pages in there. But if you go back in time, or those of you that are younger, if you can get a hold of a phone book, what you'll see if you go back a few years is the bigger companies, or the companies that generated the most lead flow, they had a 2-page spread. They had a lift note on the front of the cover of the phone book. They even advertised on the back page of the phone book. And then, of course, everybody had that little classified ad in there. But you can see there are 4 ways to be seen in the yellow pages. Here on Google, there's the 5-pack. There's actually now what we call a 6th component, which we call the 6-pack now. And that's that one area on Google that says people also ask, right? And you can click and you can see there's 4 or 5, 6 different entries there, and you can click and open them up. How do you get in there, right? So that's just one marketing lead generating lever. Again, there's external and there's internal. So I'm taking a moment on external here. Like flyer delivery would be external, right? Most people, when they do flyer delivery, they just put a ton of flyers out, and 1, they probably don't even measure it. And 2, if they do they really know what they're measuring? And 3, if it didn't really succeed for them, they just say, well, that didn't work. So stay with me on this. You'll see where I'm going. Then there's internal. Internal, when I start working with a client, this is where I love to start, because it doesn't cost anything. And with internal, you can really begin to maximize revenue just using your existing database. And most have no clue how to do this. We have 7 levers that we do for internal marketing that are extremely, extremely powerful, very powerful. One of them is a grand slam. It's proprietary, but we typically find a new client in instant, $100,000 to $400,000 in brand new revenue, brand new, never found revenue. So your mission is to begin building a platform with external marketing mediums and internal marketing levers to drive business in. But when you break this down and you start kind of testing this, if you will, when we get into the science of it, you have to understand copywriting a little bit. So if you're doing Facebook ads, if you're doing digital marketing, or you're doing print marketing, let's walk this back for a minute. One is let's say you're doing any of these, a Facebook ad, an every door direct mail campaign, most put their business card at the top, right? When I say business card, the company name goes to the top. No. Use the AIDA principle. AIDA. Attention. That's going to be the headline, the subheadline. To get the attention, once you've got their attention, it drives it down a little bit further to the subheadline. Keep their attention. A is interest, right? So now the subheadline is driving some interest to the body copy. again, whatever this might look like in the marketing medium that you're doing. D is desire. Get them to start desiring your company. These are the unique selling points, the separators, the differentiators in your company from everybody else, right? Attention, interest, desire, and what's the last one? A, action, a call to action. How are they going to reach out to you? No matter what your marketing mediums are, you must have all these components in there if you're going to start separating yourself from everybody else and getting your marketing to work. But when we look at this and we go and we kind of peel a layer of onion off of that onion, we go a little bit deeper with that. This is where we start testing the variables of the marketing mediums that you're using. So if you've got something that you've done, let's go back to flyers, for example, and they're not working for you and it's a loser, well, let's start testing the variables of that marketing piece. Change the headline, one variable at a time. If it's Facebook, change the headline. Go from image to video, different image, different video, one variable at a time, and see if you can start pulling in leads to get you to break even or above. Change the call to action. Change the body copy. Inside that body copy is offer, incentive, sale, promo. What does all that look like? Change one at a time. It is unbelievable when you start changing one variable, how it can have a significant impact to start generating the flow of leads. We do this. We're doing testing campaigns with Facebook right now with my window cleaning company. And we are seeing significant changes in just little variables that we're beginning to test. And lead flow is starting to increase more and more and more, right? So this is a science. It's the same thing with the flyer. We've been doing flyer delivery for 15 years, since 2009, 10, so 13, 14, 15 years. We put out 30,000 of them every 2 months, right? But we're on version number 5 now, because when the response starts to go down, we go right back to the drawing board. Instead of saying, all right, it's no longer working anymore. No. We go right back to the drawing board. We break down and it's like, all right, well, let's change the headline to this, or let's keep everything the same and let's go from no pricing on the flyer to pre-pricing on the flyer. One of the variables that we changed, huge increase in leads, one variable. See what I'm talking about? See how this starts to make a difference? How it can make a difference. So if you've got losers, it doesn't mean it's a loser. You might change one or two things and turn it into a winner, and so on and so forth. So building your marketing arsenal, external, internal, everything we're talking about applies. Your job is to build this platform, start bringing in these lead generating levers, right? These marketing mediums, and start testing them. But there's one other part to this that makes it successful as far as that consistency of lead flow. And that is starting to design a marketing calendar, an annual calendar for the year. What do you do? When do you do it? Why do you do it? How do you do it? Right? And start building out a marketing calendar of what you do when, with the basis of why, and then the how-tos of what you're going to do to build this out. And this is how we don't even feel the summer lull. We don't even feel it. We just go right through it because our marketing lead up and our marketing calendar is telling us what to do when to offset these ebbs and tides in lead flow. And this is how we start bringing a consistency to it. Same thing with the winter time months for a lot of us. Most of us, maybe except for Florida, have difficulty getting lead flow happening if we're leaning residential right now in the winter months. But there's strategies that you can do because of the marketing calendar that you're building out to start offsetting the weakness of lead flow, to start maximizing lead flow in the January, February, winter months. It was so impactful for us years ago where we were fighting to keep our guys busy. And I'm in North Carolina. We were fighting to keep our guys busy. Now, yes, we still take a dip, but it's not a drop off because of how we entertain our marketing, how we implement the marketing calendar, what marketing mediums we're doing then, how the message changes. It's kind of like every door direct mail. Most just come up with a template they get from a company, a printing company, and they just put it out there. When you start putting the science behind like a postcard, we talk to the neighborhood, right? We'll take a picture of the sign of the entrance to the upscale neighborhood. The headline talks to the neighborhood residents. We have offers in there. We have things that are in there that make those cards work. So again, you're starting to see as we kind of take the layers off here what the inside of marketing looks like. So let's go a little bit deeper. Foundational. What's the point to all of this? You, if you're wearing the administrative hat, or your administrator, or your office manager, or your administrative department, they must be on point when leads come in to optimize that lead flow into jobs. Most, they're not paying attention to this. I was on a call earlier this morning, and most, when they're hiring for this position, I'm not going to go too deep into this, I'll save it for another live stream, but the point is, if when they're looking for a body to put into a seat to answer the phones, if they can fog a mirror, they put them in the seat. And they look at the job scope as just someone to answer the phones. Please understand, this person is the most powerful person in your company. They are the face of revenue. So if you're spending X on marketing and you've got Y coming in as lead flow, but you're only converting Z into leads, and that Z you're not measuring, for most of you probably on this live stream, it's a big hole in the bucket. The water or the money is just flowing right out of that bucket. Your job is to seal those holes in the bucket. We'll talk more about this on a future live stream. Point is, you have to have a foundation. If leads are coming in and you're only converting 40% of them, 50% of them, it's almost like, what's the point? Because you've got so much marketing money going out the window because you have not optimized the internals of your company. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. All right, number 2 is the marketing dial. The marketing dial is about turning lead flow up and down. So if you're booked 5 weeks out, we're turning the marketing dial down. Let's bring it back to a week and a half, 2 weeks out, if we're talking residential, right? But let's think about this for a second. Many turn the dial down when they're booked out too far. No. If you want to scale, if you want to double revenues this year, the next couple of years, don't turn the dial down. This is your cue to hire. This is when and this is how you begin to force feed your business to grow, by recruiting and keeping up with the demand. Does that make sense? So when you're booked out 4, 5, 6, and I talk to people around the country, they're booked out 7 weeks. Yeah, we're so busy, things are awesome. I look at that totally differently. They might be booked out 7 weeks, but how much money are they losing, right? So they typically just turn the marketing dial down, or they might as well just turn it off. Not in my world. That's where we say, all right, let's get back ahead of the 8 ball here and start hiring people and get this demand to the point where we're a couple of weeks out, so that force feeds us to hire, which force feeds us to grow. And this is exactly how we have grown residential. I don't know if I've said this before, but 2020 over 2019, we had 53% growth. The demand was so strong once things settled down with the stupid COVID thing. Once things settled down, we exploded. 21 over 20, 43% growth. And we're not a small company. Keep up with the demand, the marketing dial. Residential marketing, large commercial marketing, storefront marketing too. All of this applies to. All right. So the big question is, when you look at your database, prospects, customers, what are you going to do, or what are you doing to stay in front of them? Most do nothing. And they just wait for the customer or the prospect to hopefully call them again. Your takeaway from this is to learn to nurture your audience. I remember my wife and I, we were looking for an electrician, and we just could not remember the electrician that came out last time. We had no clue who it was. Shame on him. And shame on you if you're not staying in front of your customers. Your mission is to never go away so that you are always, always the obvious choice. It just rolls off their tongue, your company name when they're looking to get their gutters cleaned or their house washed or their windows cleaned again. We just finished up a boot camp, a 3-day boot camp. Literally last night it wrapped up, and we had 50 clients from around the country that all flew in. We had 3 days of just talking shop. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I did a poll in the room, and I asked them, do you, aside from friends and family, do you know the name of the plumbing company that came and did work in your house the last time? 3 hands went up out of the 55, 60 that were totally in the room. Wow, unbelievable. Not here. Our customers in that room, most every hand is going to go up because of how we nurture them. All right, number 3, as we go into a wrap up here. Number 3, measure the analytics. We have 9 metrics we use to exactly know how each medium, each lever is doing and what we need to do to improve them. The measuring becomes a huge decision maker for my company to know, well, what do we do next when it comes to lead flow, right? So think about this in your company. Are you measuring the analytics? Measurement leads to success. What changes need to be made in your annual marketing calendar, right? This measurement lets us know what we need to do. So as we sum this up, marketing is a science. And when it's done right, you'll never, ever have to worry about leads again. Step into my world as we roll the red carpet out for you on what all of this looks like. I'm just giving you a framework to work off of to get you started on something. But now you have the framework and you have a basis, a platform to start kind of filling in some of the puzzle pieces here that I'm talking about to get your marketing on point as we enter spring. Everything that I'm talking about is contained in the Window Washing Wealth Coaching Program. And if you want more information on this, on how my coaching works, just put the word marketing in the comments, in the chat, or somewhere in the group, and Annie will reach out to you and we can hop on a quick call. We can take a look under the hood and see what you got going on, and we'll see what we can do to help you. I'm so glad you're here today and listening in and learning and understanding some of these components. We have so much more stuff to talk about. So stay plugged into the group, stay plugged into these live streams and the other things that we're putting in the group here as well. And we will just continue to be there and just have some fun talking about business and how we can get you to the next level. All right, so glad you're here. We'll be talking again soon. We do these live streams every Thursday at noon. So stay tuned for them. And again, thank you. Thank you very much for being here.